William did not flinch when his 12-year-old daughter screamed those words that cut through the late afternoon air like poisoned daggers. "I hate you. You're just jealous because Mom's new husband is richer and kinder than you." Her voice cracked with fury. Her small fists clenched so tightly her knuckles whitened. Her face flushed crimson, her eyes burning with a fire that did not belong to her. It would have been easy for an outsider to assume this was the tantrum of a child, raw and unfiltered. But William knew better. He could hear the echoes of someone else's voice layered beneath hers, the ghostly venom of a woman he once loved. He turned slightly, and through the tinted car window he saw her, his ex-wife, Serena. She reclined comfortably in the passenger seat of her new husband's luxury car, phone angled at the perfect tilt, her lips curling into a cruel half-smile that hung in the air like smoke. She wanted a show. She wanted him to snap, to break character, to shout back. She wanted evidence, a scene she could twist, edit, and later hand to the judge as proof of his instability. She wanted William painted as bitter, broken, unworthy of being a father. But William, unlike the man she remembered, did not give her that satisfaction. He refused to let anger rule him. He swallowed the surge of pain that came from hearing his daughter's words, and instead focused on the trembling innocence hidden behind her anger. He memorized the fear flickering in her eyes, the confusion buried under the venom she repeated. Then, without a word, he turned, walked toward his house, and closed the door behind him with a final, deliberate slam. Inside, silence enveloped him. His chest ached, his hands trembled faintly, but he forced himself to breathe slowly, evenly. He walked upstairs, entered his study, and slid the chair away from the old oak desk that bore the scars of years of late-night work. Carefully, he pried up the loose wooden board in the corner, the one that had hidden his secret for months. Beneath it lay a second phone, a phone Serena had never known existed. He picked it up with steady hands. On its encrypted memory rested months of patience, months of quiet watching. A folder filled with videos, messages, and recordings. A secret archive that told the story she never imagined he was capable of capturing. And with a deep exhale, William knew that tonight, the balance of power would finally shift. It hadn't always been this way. Once, Serena had been the woman who lit up William's world. He could still remember their early days, when she laughed too loudly at his awkward jokes, when they dreamed together of a simple, quiet life. She had promised him she wanted love above all else. No grand ambitions, no hunger for riches, only family, only peace. He believed her, and he gave her everything. He worked long hours at his architectural firm, not glamorous, but steady. He cooked when she was too tired. He cradled their infant daughter, Emma, through countless sleepless nights. He believed their bond was strong, unshakable, woven with sacrifice and devotion. But simplicity, he would learn, did not satisfy her for long. When Serena's family business thrived, and she inherited her share, wealth poured into her hands. And with it came a hunger William had never seen before. It was like watching a flame devour the very wax that sustained it. She craved the glow of status, the glitter of attention. Designer dinners, luxury hotels, curated vacations to show off online. The woman who once swore she only wanted love now looked at William as though he were an anchor weighing her down. He could never keep pace with the lifestyle she desired. And slowly, the marriage crumbled. When she left, she didn't walk away quietly. She took more than just her belongings. She tried to take Emma too, the one pure light in William's life. For Serena, custody wasn't about motherhood. It was leverage, a trophy to prove her superiority. At first, William thought he was paranoid. But he couldn't ignore the way Emma's words began to change. Her once gentle voice became sharper, laced with rehearsed venom. "Mom says you're pathetic. Mom says you can't take care of us." Those words crushed him, not because of their content. He knew the truth of who he was, but because they came from Emma's lips, innocent lips turned into weapons. The breaking point arrived on an otherwise ordinary evening. William, restless and worried, picked up Emma's school bag after dropping her off at Serena's house. He searched it, guilt tugging at him, but necessity pushing harder. And there, hidden in a side pocket, he found it, a small voice recorder. His ex-wife had turned their daughter into a spy. The realization burned him to the core. That night, something inside William hardened. He would no longer be the naive man who trusted fairness to prevail. If Serena wanted war, she would have it. But it would be fought on his terms. From that day forward, William lived with discipline sharper than steel. He never raised his voice when Serena baited him. He didn't lash out when Emma, under her mother's influence, hurled cruel words at him. He became a ghost, silent, watchful, collecting everything. Discreet cameras were installed in his home. A second encrypted phone became his confidant. Every slight, every manipulation, every slip of Serena's mask was recorded. He built an invisible fortress of truth, stone by stone, file by file. And then came the recording that would seal everything. One night, in a fit of fury, Serena scolded Emma for forgetting to bring back the recorder from school. Her voice was vicious, her temper uncontrolled. And then she said the words that transformed the battlefield forever. If you really love me, you'll help me destroy your father. The words echoed, captured forever in digital clarity. William knew then that patience would be his greatest weapon. The day of the custody hearing arrived. The air was heavy with anticipation, the hallways of the courthouse buzzing with whispers of other battles being fought behind closed doors. William walked in dressed plainly, no theatrics, no performance, just a man standing firm. His face was calm, but his eyes carried the weight of years of silent endurance. Across the room, Serena entered like royalty, her arm looped around her new husband, Richard, a wealthy businessman with a polished smile. They walked as though the outcome was already decided. Serena's expression radiated triumph. She believed she had outplayed William in every way. Her phone was filled with carefully edited videos. Clips of William silent, stitched together to look like indifference. Averted glances, framed to seem like cruelty. Manufactured evidence of a cold, incapable man. She presented them with practiced tears and a trembling voice, speaking of Emma's supposed fear, her supposed suffering. The judge listened, his eyes steady, his pen scratching across the paper. And for a fleeting moment, William felt the weight of inevitability press against him. He saw the smug smile curve Serena's lips, the predatory gleam in her eyes. She believed she had already won. But William had waited too long, fought too carefully to falter now. When his turn came, he rose slowly. He didn't shout. He didn't accuse. His voice was steady, composed. "Your Honor," he said, every syllable deliberate. "I believe this court deserves to see what happens when the cameras aren't staged." The clerk pressed play. The courtroom fell into silence as the recording played. Emma's sobs filled the air, fragile and heartbreaking. Her small voice pleaded, begged her mother to stop. And then came Serena's words, sharp and venomous, echoing through the chamber. "If you really love me, you'll help me destroy your father." The silence that followed was crushing. Every eye turned to Serena. Her painted mask crumbled in an instant. Richard shifted uncomfortably beside her, his jaw tightening, his polished facade cracking as he realized the truth of the woman he had married. The judge's expression darkened, his features hardening with every second that passed. When the recording ended, the silence hung for a long, heavy moment. And then the judge spoke. "Ma'am," he said coldly, "you have demonstrated manipulation, emotional abuse, and a clear attempt to alienate this child from her father. As of this moment, custody is awarded to the father." The gavel struck. Final. Irrevocable. Serena's scream never made it into the record, but William would never forget it. A jagged sound of rage, disbelief, and desperation all tangled together. She tried to resist, to protest, but the judge silenced her. Not even Richard comforted her. He sat back, calculating, regret flashing across his features as he understood the storm he had tied himself to. Behind William, Emma whispered through tears a single word that pierced his heart deeper than any legal ruling ever could. "Dad." That night, when the world was finally quiet, William sat alone in his study. The same place where the war had begun, where patience had been forged into armor. The battlefield lay behind him now, scattered with the ruins of lies exposed. Did he feel guilt? No. How could he? Serena had weaponized love, had tried to erase him from Emma's life. She thought wealth and charm could bury the truth. But truth does not die. It waits. And William had given it patience. Patience had been his sharpest blade. When he remembered her smirk through the car window, William felt no anger, only satisfaction. Because while she thought she was recording his downfall, he had been recording hers. And when the judge's words echoed in his memory, "Custody is awarded to the father," William knew that he had won the only battle that mattered. The rest was silence. If William's story moved you, if it reminded you of the power of truth, patience, and love that refuses to be broken, then stay with us. Subscribe, like, and share, because stories like this deserve to be heard. And sometimes, the quietest fight is the strongest one.